No, what we are the sum, our minds, our egos, our preferences are the sum of our learned experiences. Okay. And every single person has had different experiences.
Yes.
One of the things I try to teach people is, okay, at a given moment, you're having an experience, right?
Yeah.
Here, we're having an experience. Okay.
Yeah.
And before you had an experience. So there's that experience at that moment. How many experiences are you missing? How many experiences?
So many.
700 billion, zillion, quillion every single moment.
Yes.
Right? Somebody else is being programmed with those experiences. You're being programmed with this experience. Then the next moment is another experience. No one has ever had the same experiences as you. Isn't that neat? Think about that. No one has ever had it and no one ever will. You're the most unique thing in the universe. And so is everybody else. But since we're the sum of our learned experiences, or at least our psyche is, we're not. The consciousness is not. We are watching the sum of our learned experiences. The observer watches, right? So that's where I take it. Pick a bone with Skinner, right? It's not that man is the sum of learned experiences. Man is the consciousness, the awareness of being, but the psyche they look at, which is what he was talking about, is the sum of your learned experiences. So everybody's the sum of learned experiences, and everybody had different experiences. So you're absolutely right. How can they be wrong? You think you're right. You think you're right. You say, don't dare do that. I can't believe you did that. That was so wrong, right? Because based on your experiences, that's out of the question. On somebody else's experience, they don't know what you're talking about. That's why this whole politics stuff is so stupid. All right? It's like they don't understand. They're just expressing the sum of learned experiences. And if you had a different experience, one different experience, you would have a different opinion.
Right.
Right or wrong.
Right.
I tell a story when we're out of time. It's a very powerful story. I tell a story that there's two kids, 7 and 8 years old, in the back of the station wagon, and the parents are driving to go on a vacation. And they're playing, I Spy, that kind of a game back there, playing around. And so the sister, who's a year older, says, I spy an oak tree to the right. And the little boy turns around, and at that exact moment, there was a terrible accident with body parts and blood, and he's traumatized for life. Okay? They can't even bring him back and never get into a car. He can't do anything. Could that happen? Right? Mm-hmm. What if she had said, oh, look over here? His whole life's changed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't accept that. That's ridiculous. That's not fair. That's out of the question. You understand that? That your entire life was based on one random moment.
Yeah.
They look somewheres or okay? And so that is how it is. We're programmed with this stuff. And so anyone that has gone through their lifetime experiences, they think they're right. How can they think otherwise? You understand that? They're programmed with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to talk about any sensitive political subjects, but any subject you take where there's two sides, it's because somebody had enough experiences on this side to where they say, I know what I'm talking about. I had a sister who went through that. Right? This person said, well, I had a sister and she, okay. And if you had different experiences, it takes real humility to admit that. If you had different experiences, you would see it differently.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right that from a personal point of view, everybody thinks they're right, and nobody's right, because they just have these. You know what I call those experiences? Statistically insignificant. All right, and it was the fact that you picked up 1 point out of the billions that existed at that moment, and that's all you're ever getting. That is what we call statistically insignificant data.
Mm-hmm.
So a wise person, Lao Tzu, I'm sure you heard of Lao Tzu. He said, or wise being, he said, a wise man never argues. For what purpose? It's not that they don't try to raise the world, but you're not fighting with it because you understand with compassion. I understand how you see it that way. I don't see it that way, but I understand how you see it that way because you had different experiences. Now, how can we get along? If everyone was that humble and everyone was that open and they respected, that's called respect, right? And we could find a way to do much better than we're doing, couldn't we?
For sure. Why is it so hard to see ourselves? Because in that example of somebody doing something and them being wrong, it's hard to see that we've been programmed a certain way. Why is there this sort of conundrum or this challenge of being a human where we really can't see ourselves? The saying, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. but yet we can't see ourselves. We don't understand in that interaction when somebody does something like they drive slow on the road, it's because I am crazy and neurotic about driving fast. Like, why can't I see that? Instead, why do I see them as the problem? This to me is like one of the sort of big challenges and mysteries of being a human, is this inability to really have that self-reflection.
You are distracted by that which is the loudest, whatever it is. If there's a big noise outside and we're having a conversation, you're not paying attention to me anymore. You're paying attention to the noise. If you drop a hammer on your toe, right, you're not paying attention to the rest of your body. Silly. I don't know why I put your attention there. It's the part that hurts the most, but that's what you do. Okay. You have thoughts that are more powerful because they're charged. You had experience in the past. You had a divorce 20 years ago, and all of a sudden you hear the person's name. It's not the same person, but you hear the name. All of a sudden you're lost. So you get distracted by that which is most pulling on your consciousness. It distracts your consciousness. That's your answer. And that's why people can't come back here, right? Because they get pulled back down into the heartache, into the heart love. They're the same, right? I'm madly in love with somebody. I can't stand them. Okay, in other words, your heart has changed and you got sucked into it.
So you said the charge, and I want to talk about energy, chakras, because you say you come back down or you need to go up to transcend beyond something, that an event happens and they get stored.
That's right.
Lower. So essentially you come out of your higher chakras and you come down into this primitive lower chakras in the first, second, third. And that's where you get stuck. And so it's stuck energy. Am I gathering information right?
You will love my new book. This is exactly what my new book talks about. Okay.
Why do you think I love this book?
Okay. So,
it's so good.
So basically, the new book literally says, what is mind and how did it get the way it is? All right. And it starts with the Zen concept of empty mind. There's nothing in there. It's like a computer that's so powerful, but there's no software. Doesn't mean it's stupid, right? It's just not right now doing anything. It's not creating thoughts. All right. Then what happens? The world comes in through your senses, because that's what it does, right? Yeah. And it builds patterns in your mind. Yeah. Right. That's what's happening. You're seeing it inside. All right. Well, if those patterns are normal, a tree, a car, or this or that, they just go right through. Yeah. I always tell my people, you're already 99% enlightened. 99% of every single thing that comes into your senses makes it right through.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, I love the analogy in the book that you use about I think it's maybe a blue car. Yes. I think it's a blue car. And if you see a blue car go down the road, it means nothing to someone. But if your ex-boyfriend had a blue car and you see the blue car, all of a sudden, bam, that blue car means something. That's right. How many cars do you see go by that mean nothing?
That's right. That's
99%.
Trees, leaves, grass, everything makes it through. Doesn't mean you don't experience it. You just experience it. Here now, right?
Yes.
Comes in and
which is good news.
But then what happens is something comes in like a rattlesnake and it's scary. Yeah. It is naturally scary. I've seen coiled rattlesnakes. I live in the woods around the country. All right. And they are scary. All right. And you're going to get this vibration like that. It's not comfortable. Okay, fine. But then it crawled away. Does that discomfort crawl away? No, because you won't let it pass through. You use those hands in there saying, no, I don't want to have this experience. I don't like that I had the experience. Trouble is you did have the experience. You can't make the experience not happen.
And programming has told you rattlesnakes are dangerous.
I can, even if I didn't ever have that programming, it sends off vibes that are meant to scare you.
Oh.
The nature of a rattlesnake is get away from me. Okay.
Got it.
And so it comes in, but when it crawls away, it could pass through. Doesn't mean I didn't learn, but it passed through. But no, I was so uncomfortable that I don't want to have had the experience. Pay attention to that, right? I literally don't want to have had it. So it happened outside, but I don't have to let it pass all the way inside. I can suppress it. There's Freud. I can push away the event inside, and then it goes down to your subconscious, and then it be the way you talked earlier, that we have all this stuff stored in there. Have we not made a collection of every bad experience we ever had?
Yeah, for sure we have.
If you make a collection of everything that ever disturbed you, you're going to be disturbed. We're so silly. We're supposed to be
it's simple and yet so hard.
It's so ridiculous. All right. So we do that. And it's almost instinctual. Like if I throw a ball at you, you throw your hands up. That's what we do inside. We use those inner hands. No, I don't want to have this. And we push it away.
Right.
And only because you're being so high, I'll give you the other side. You meet somebody and they're beautiful. You see a butterfly comes and lands on your arm, as I use in the book. Well, that's a nice experience. We don't have to push that one away, do we? But when the
I can't wait for that day. I dream about that when I'm hiking. I'm like, just land on me.
When the butterfly flies away, we don't like that. We want it to stay there. So we can't cling to the butterfly because it flew away, but we can cling to the experience. We can keep the experience inside so that then we miss every other experience because we're busy thinking about the butterfly and busy wanting the butterfly to happen. You understand that? These are called positive and negative samskaras. So you push away the negative ones, you cling to the positive ones, and that's where your personality came from. You've stored these events, but not all events. You only stored the powerful ones. You understand that? That's what we said.
The powerful, whether they're good or bad.
That's exactly right.
They just reach a threshold and they are now programmed.
And you store them. And now your entire personality is built around that. You sit there and say, where do I want to live where there's no rattlesnakes? How can I see the butterfly again? And next thing you know, those are your likes and dislikes. And you like people. You meet a person that you love them to pieces until you find out he collects rattlesnakes. Ah! Okay.
Yeah, right. So is it equally dangerous to value both of them and store both of them?
I don't. People aren't ready to talk at this absolute level of non-duality and transcendence. So I only threw that in because you've been asking such high questions, right? Because it does mess you up. Okay. If you go into a restaurant, you have a beautiful experience. The music is perfect. The menu's perfect. The people are sitting the distance away is just right. Right number of people in there, right? And you say, I want to go back. I want to go back to Long's where the restaurant was, right? You are going to be disappointed.
That's exactly right. That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking about having an experience that you loved, going on a trip that you loved. And I've done this before where you try and recreate it because you're like, this was amazing. And exactly what you said happens. You're, I would say, always disappointed.
You will always be. And if you bring friends with you, wait till you see this, right? Then you're embarrassed. And it became a bad experience. It became a negative experience, right?
Yes.
So the answer is, people always ask me, can I really not enjoy positive experiences? I said, you've got so many negative ones. Just work on that. Don't worry about the rest. We'll go. That's graduate school.
The positives are nothing at this point in time.
I wish that was your problem. Okay, that you have too many positive thoughts in there. But why do you have all these why naturally? People say to me, I practice positive thinking. I'm terrible. You know what I would say to that person? Why? And I teach positive thinking. But why do you practice positive thinking? Well, because if I don't, what happens if you don't? It's negative. Why?
Yeah.
Why is it that way? This book gets into that. The whole foundation of what you built in there is trying to release all the time. Just like it comes up in your dreams, it comes up all day. And you remember all this stuff that bothers you, and everything stimulates your stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why it's the way it is in there. So what's the answer? Get that stuff out. And you said that earlier. I was very proud of you, right? That you got the stuff in there. You store all the stuff in there. Then it becomes, how do you do that? Because if you get that stuff out, you're filled with love all the time.